Well, greetings YouTube, LMS Tactical. Hope everybody's having a good weekend or had a good weekend. It's Sunday. I want to talk about a subject that has been on my mind for quite some time. Take a knee here. It's an uncomfortable subject. Let me give you a little bit of background. First of all, we got a very high suicide rate amongst veterans right now. It's always been high, but it's out of control high now. And I don't remember the exact national statistic, but it's something like every 20 minutes a veteran takes his or her own life. That's unbelievable. Police officers have a very high, they don't have the same, but they have a very high suicide rate. I've known police officers who have taken their own life, and it happens all across the country all the time. The suicide is not necessarily what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the Catch-22. I want to talk about the Catch-22 that I find deplorable in this country, that lends itself to suicide. It lends itself to extreme domestic violence, and it lends itself to this misconception about veterans and cops, quite frankly, in terms of their propensity to toward violence, and perhaps over-medicating with alcohol or drugs. You see, the way it works is when a police officer, let's just talk about the cops here first. When a police officer experiences a traumatic event, I mean, let's face it, cops have PTSD as much as soldiers. Now, I know a lot of combat vets don't want to hear that, but the reality is prolonged exposure. And I mean, listen, I'm no expert, but you can suffer the effects of PTSD from one traumatic event. You go into multiple deployments overseas as a fighter, as a war fighter, and of course you're likely to come back with some form of PTSD. Cops, if they're in, bumfuck New Jersey, where it's a retirement center, that's one thing. But if you're working in the projects of Los Angeles or Dallas or New York, or you're working in Chicago, listen, prolonged exposure to man's inhumanity to man is a motherfucker, and it takes its toll. There are more cops working right now suffering from PTSD than I would even want to give a number to. It'd scare the shit out of society. But if you knew, it would blow your mind. And these people are armed and they're out there doing their thing, and it's not through any fault of their own. The Catch-22 of law enforcement and PTSD and suicidal thoughts is this. Let's just say hypothetically you're a cop. You're feeling suicidal. You've seen, you're involved in a shooting, whatever. So you go get psychological counseling, and depending on what happens, in most cases you're likely to lose the right to carry your weapon. You may be assigned to a desk. I've known guys that were assigned to kit rooms, which means they hand out the fucking car keys and the radios and shit to cops before they go out. It could effectively ruin your entire fucking career. So there's really no incentive to go ask for help if it's going to adversely affect your career and put an umbrella over you as if you're some kind of a nutcase. Now you look at the veteran situation. Listen, 99% of vets are pro Second Amendment. I mean, this is what we put them in uniform for, is to protect all of our rights, our constitutional rights. And the Second Amendment is right up there. It's number 2. So it's an important right to have. However, you get a guy or a girl who goes out there, puts their ass literally on the line, comes back, if they're lucky to come back physically intact, they come back with the emotional scars of seeing the shit that goes on the battlefield and all around this fucking asymmetric battlefield in cities and things that they've had to deal with, yeah? And they come back and they go to the VA and they try to get a little fucking assistance because they're having nightmares and they're having thoughts of hurting themselves and in some cases hurting others. And the very first fucking thing that happens is they lose their right to exercise their Second Amendment right. They can't carry a gun, yeah? So there is absolutely zero incentive. Here's a guy or a girl that's been carrying a weapon, for 10 years on multiple deployments. It's like wearing a watch, it's a part of their life, and they know that if they go in there and they try to seek help for these demons that have been put in place there because they were protecting us, their reward is we strip them. We as a society strip them of their right to carry a weapon. So what are you saying, Mike, that all nutcases should be allowed to carry weapons? Absolutely not. But what I am saying is stripping a person of their... Listen, if a person's smart enough to go seek help on their own, why do you want to punish them by taking away one of the most important things in their life, which is their ability to defend themselves and or their family or others? Why do you want to take a cop and a guy who's doing a good job or a girl who's doing a good job, and she comes forward and says, hey, you know, I'm thinking of putting a fucking barrel of a goddamn, Glock in my mouth and pulling the trigger. Help me, help me. Don't you want to help that person? Well, taking the Glock away ain't going to fucking help it. Because if somebody wants to kill themselves, they're going to do it. Okay? My sister took her life. I have friends that have taken their lives. My grandmother took her life. I know all about suicide. Up close and personal. I was a suicide hotline operator for 2 years. Yeah, so I understand what I'm talking about here. So, you know, I don't have a definitive answer as usual, but I wanted to throw this out there, and I wanted to get some feedback from you guys and girls and see what you think about this. I mean, do you think that we're on the right track by immediately and permanently stripping somebody's Second Amendment rights away from them because they had the audacity to say, help me? Or do you think maybe we ought to help them, and as part of helping them is to show them the respect and the confidence of not treating them like they're nutcases? And as far as veterans go, you know, we owe them everything, goddammit, and we shouldn't be stripping them of anything. Okay? I know not everybody's a big fucking fan of the cops, but you can kiss my ass, because I'm not saying they're all perfect, but I happen to be one. So cops, I put them right. And listen, most cops are veterans these days. Okay? They're carrying a heavy burden in their fucking heads when they lay down at night and put their heads on their soft little pillows. You wouldn't believe the shit crawling through my brain at night. Okay? You wouldn't believe the movies that go through my fucking head and how many times I gotta watch motherfuckers die over and over and over and over and over again. Can't say anything about it though, can I? Because I'll get fucking punished. I'll get punished by society for trying to be fucking honest and get some help. What are your thoughts? LMS Tactical out.